Well, say something, goddammit. You're on television. You're live to the whole world.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In a world where there are superheroes who can soar the endless reaches of space, strike like thunder against gods, or prowl the night in service of keeping others safe, where does a superhero like Animal Man fit? Okay, meet Buddy Baker, an inherently confused man who lives a pretty confused life as both husband and loving father to two adoring kids. If you didn't guess it already, he has the power to emulate the abilities of any animal. If he needs flight, he'll emulate the abilities of a bird nearby. If he loses a limb, an earthworm deep in the ground. And to create a universe, God. If I had to describe to you what Animal Man is like, I'd say that he's not much of a superhero at all. Sure, he has the title, the powers, and the uniform, but in terms of actually being a superhero, he fucking sucks. But it's something that makes a character like Animal Man inherently endearing in my eyes, because the guy goes through so much pain and suffering that's just never talked about because he's such a niche character. So let's talk about Animal Man. In the beginning, when we meet Buddy Baker, he's at the time just a regular guy with a regular family, helping out the neighborhood with his animal-like powers whenever he can. He works as a stuntman to support his family whenever possible, but it's really his wife Ellen that's the breadwinner of the family, working as a comic book artist. But it's come time in Buddy's mind to step up in the household and really take a hold of his own life. After all, he has these insane Animal Man powers, and what does he really do with them? Fucking nothing. So he comes home one day to announce that he's gonna try and be a full-time hero for a change. He's gonna make it in the big leagues and become somebody. Enough so that he'll become so rich and famous that he and his family would never have to worry over anything ever again. Ellen kinda rolls her eyes because she's heard this same thing over and over when they first got married or when they had kids or when the world was ending. But Buddy really means it this time. He's almost 30 and he feels like an actor that's wandered onto the wrong play. Yet if he can really make a name for himself as a hero, he can join a team like the Justice League and solve all their problems. At first, Ellen has some major doubts, but Buddy just points to a picture of Blue Beetle and says that if he's on the team, anyone can be a member. Not to break away, but at the very start, you can already get a gist of the kind of guy Buddy is. Sort of aloof, a dreamer. He wants the rewards for things without really putting any mind on how to achieve it, let alone work at it properly. He's deeply flawed and has never really had a legitimate reason to be a superhero, which was what hooked me in from the start, because I don't think that everyone who'd get powers would really rush toward the superhero or supervillain pipeline. They'd probably get powers and live the rest of their lives hiding it. Another thing I wanted to bring attention to is the family dynamic. The family is used as a way to show how ridiculous and unconventional it'd be to have a superhero lifestyle while raising a family. It's an aspect of Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man run that I also quite enjoy. There are so many moments in Animal Man comics where it's shown that him being a superhero is more debilitating to them than just living a normal life. But in spite of this, Buddy's family wants to see Buddy succeed as a superhero, so they willingly put up with lunacy. Why do they put up with it? I don't know. Love? But back to Buddy. Buddy works at training his body, mind, and powers over the course of several days, testing the limits of what he's truly capable of. Buddy learns that he can retain an animal's abilities for just 35 minutes, and that he can do just about anything, in which Buddy scores a big TV interview, but it's not quite the press Buddy may have wanted, and in the end he's made out to be more of a laughingstock than anything else. But what do you know, it gets him an actual superhero gig to help out Star Labs because of a break-in in the animal testing facility. He arrives to the hero Buona Beast breaking out an ape that Star Labs had been experimenting on in hopes of creating a mutated strain of anthrax for biological warfare. That's quite a fucking sentence, but because Buona Beast is saving this ape from experimentation, and the ape also having an extremely contagious disease that Buona Beast has more than definitely contracted without knowing, whether Buona Beast is a hero or not, he is putting an entire city at risk of a contagion. So despite Animal Man despising Star Labs' experimentation on animals, Buddy has no other choice but to cooperate with them for the time being to stop the spread of the virus from happening, as we are then brought to Buona Beast cradling the ape Juba in his arms, begging God to spare Juba's life. But sadly, Juba passes on, and all that's left is Buona Beast's unbridled rage. Buddy is thrusted into a vicious battle with Buona Beast until the disease he'd contracted from Juba would take him down like a collapsing building. Buddy holding a dying Buona Beast in his arms, Buona Beast would reflect on how awful and cruel the world has become to animals. That we were given paradise, but everywhere we go we leave it bleeding, screaming, dying. And the worst part of it is that we've fallen so far down, but there's still no bottom. nearly dying in his arms if not for Buddy reaching far into his powers and strengthening Buona Beast's white blood cells enough to counter the mutated anthrax. Buona Beast is saved, after which Buddy shows up to Star Labs and he's like, "I'm ashamed I ever worked for you, you prick. You're awful. You experiment on animals, and from now on, I'm going to make it my life's mission to tearing down barbaric facilities like this that think it's okay to experiment on innocent animals." And he rightfully decks his geriatric ass. And if it couldn't get any better, Buona Beast comes out the cut, turning him into a fucking ape, but leaving him with enough intelligence to remember he was once a human being. Bitch. That's just the first 4 issues of Animal Man by Grant Morrison that was supposed to just be a limited series. But the series ended up being so well received, Grant signed on to do an ongoing for Animal Man for the next 22 issues. So what I love about the first few issues is that you really get to know all the characters pretty quickly. You understand that Buddy's a guy that's been on autopilot but wants to make something of himself. And by that right, you kind of want to see it happen too. Especially once he vows to do anything he can for the sake of animals everywhere all over the world. He finds his North Star. He finds his purpose, which is followed up literally in the very next issue when Buddy decides to go vegetarian because he learned through the use of his Animal Man powers that he could feel the pain and suffering through every bite. Something I also deeply love about Morrison's Animal Man is the pacing of the story. Essentially, almost every issue in the run is a one-off story that just keeps ramping and ramping up to something that you least expect. And it's something I noticed other writers that take up the series a bit later just can't do on the same level, because it's Grant Morrison. Take issue 5, for example. It's a story basically about what if Roadrunner from Looney Tunes discovered he was a fictional character in a fictional world, and cursed his creator for having the ability to make their lives perfect and not doing so. Thus, in the Coyote's retaliation, he's sent to the mortal realm, cursed to die and live again over and over in extremely unending pain, unless he can complete his mission by finding his creator once more and have a chance of returning home. This is an impossible task given to the Coyote, so his home can know peace through the Coyote's cruel punishment. Supposedly, this is not for the creator's entertainment, but for ours. Every time we flip the page, we actively put this little guy who just wanted happiness through needless pain and suffering, including the pain of a man who has believed all the bad things in his life were preceded by him running the Coyote over in the beginning of the issue, who in a way becomes aware he's in a hell of someone else's creation and asks, why won't we stop? We're the ones responsible for their pain and suffering. We're to them the harsh, inescapable consequence of time. They'll be alive, go through pain and suffering, and then die again and again and again in this 24-page comic. Animal Man has fuck all to do with anything in this story until the very end, when Buddy swoops down for the Coyote to give Buddy a message wrapped around the Coyote's neck. It's completely incomprehensible to Buddy as the Coyote is then shot dead, wishing he could have seen his home one last time. A fate that has just been passed along to Buddy without him even knowing. Animal Man from here on takes the place of the Coyote and will carry on in sufferings until he finds his god. This is meant to haunt the narrative of Buddy's story going forward. It's both beautiful and utterly heartbreaking. And unfortunately for us, we don't just get a streamline to Buddy's torment. We have to watch it all play out as we continue reading and bonding with the family. After which we see Buddy eventually make it in the Justice League. He goes on to stop alien invasions, or spectating the Doom Patrol's antics inside a painting, or doing something as simple as talking a Z-list villain off of an edge. But it's during all of this that we witness how Buddy internalizes the craziness of what it's like to be a full-time superhero, to find that he's way in over his head, because while he's now a big-time superhero and becoming a pillar for animal rights activism across the globe whether he knows it or not, Buddy's also outed his secret identity. He has a family, and he's not really a superhero in the way that Superman or Batman are, coming to a head when his family is put in danger by the likes of Mirror Master because of Buddy's antics shutting down animal testing facilities that affect the government's funding. The government doesn't take kindly to Animal Man's disruption, and in turn sends an assassin by the name of Lennox to kill his family. Buddy's family is murdered, sending him into an all-consuming depression, to the point he sees no point in living any longer. And you see how his own morality died with his family, like drowning one man and watching the light slowly fade from his eyes, or burying a man to death. Ellen, Cliff, and Maxine are all dead, and they're never coming back. If only there was some way to go back and prevent it from happening. If only Buddy had something like a time machine. But in traveling through time, the machine remains in the future while Buddy remains in the past. Desperately, Buddy tries anything he possibly can while moving through time to warn his family of the coming horror. He tries talking to Maxine, but his voice can't cut through to the present. He tries using a Ouija board for Cliff to no avail. He even talks to himself, but the words just don't get through, and the saddest thing about it all is it was never meant meant to. The past version of Buddy can't hear him, but he remembers seeing him as a child. His single chance to save them was always destined to never work out. As gut-wrenching as it is for Buddy, he's sent even further back in time to the 60s, coming across himself as a child alongside his long-dead father, and is sent to the floor in agony at the pain that is the flow of time. Buddy, seeing no point in returning at a time where he has essentially nothing, he's approached by a phantom-like stranger, cursed with the same problem. The phantom stranger. Yeah, I'm trying to be cute. Taking a walk with the fellow, Buddy finds himself in the company of two others a bit like himself called Jason Blood and the Immortal Man. Phantom stranger fills in the two that Buddy has gone through a great deal of pain and traveled back in time in hopes of correcting it. Only Buddy has no intention of returning, because there's nothing for him there, which sparks a heavy debate between Buddy, Blood, and Immortal Man. It's the weight. That's all. This terrible weight on my back. Must be the time machine I used. It's still in the future and it seems to be affecting me, pulling me down.
The death of loved ones, the pain of accumulated time. We're not made to move freely in time. The shock will kill you if you stay. You should go back. You have no place here.
Go back? There's nothing to go back to. The future's a bad dream. I'd be better off dead. Here. Anywhere. I don't care anymore.
You can't allow yourself to think that way. You're no use to anyone if you're dead. Life is precious. Every moment of breath is precious.
Well, but the death ends the torture of it all. The endless repetition of the turning wheel. You would welcome death as friend, then, Animal Man? Would you? Death is not interested in your friendship. Death is impartial, irrational, wayward.
What are you doing? You didn't have to do that. What the hell did you do that for?
Sit down. Some might say I freed the butterfly. I sent it on to its next incarnation. Perhaps even to the bliss of nirvana. The butterfly cannot tell us. The dead are gone. We who remain in the world must continue and make of our time here a heaven or hell.
Life is like matter. It can be neither created nor destroyed. It just changes state. The wheel turns and life goes on. People die, things die, but the process of life goes on. If only you could see it from my perspective.
Hippie crap. I've heard it all before. The love generation ended up selling insurance, same as it ever was. And my wife and children are dead. Still dead.
I've seen more death and pain than you could ever dream of. 50,000 years of it. Dying on sharpened stakes, on torture racks and fires, cut to bits by English bullets and American bullets and Nazi bullets. Life goes on. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. It'll only happen when people stop being afraid. Your family's gone, and you can't help them by dying inside. Life needs you to go on fighting and not sit back while they build more bombs and bulldoze more trees. Either you're on the side of life or you're on the side of death. Which is it going to be?
Life or death. Is it really that simple? And I think of the earth sickening and dying. The animals marching toward extinction, 2 by 2. Do we sit back and watch it on TV, or do we make our stand? And suddenly the weight is gone, ringing in my ears. Kitchen walls close around me. Buddy is transported back to his original time just before another crisis could occur that'd tear apart the very fabric of reality, playing a major role in saving the universe. Therefore, once the world is saved and Buddy finds out he's just a character in someone else's story, he just has 2 questions. Who writes up the world, and why does he make us suffer this way? But when the alien bros are confronted with these difficult questions, they simply fade into nothing along with everything else. It's at this point, with nothing left to go on, that Buddy reads the letter to find that everything he's been through was preordained. And there's further steps that await him, like finding a set of keys that open a door completely foreign to his own house, opening it to find himself bridging the gap from limbo to a realm like our world, walking around the streets of some city in Scotland until Buddy would come across a certain house that felt slightly familiar to him, to find the man responsible for everything that's happened in Buddy Baker's miserable life.
Hi. I've been waiting for you. I'm Grant. You coming in? Come on in. It's this way.
Who are you? Who did you say you were?
Me? I'm the evil mastermind behind the scenes. I'm the wicked puppeteer who pulls the strings and makes you dance. I'm your writer.
You? You're telling me you've been behind all this? You. Did you create the yellow aliens?
Well, I didn't create them, but I did rescue them from obscurity and put them to work for me. I didn't create you either, or your family. I'm more of a demiurgic power. Someone else creates you to be perfect and innocent, and then I step in and I spoil everything. It's a little bit satanic, I suppose. See, it's all done here. I can make you say and do anything. I can make you hate your wife and children. I can make you forget you were ever married. It's all here. This is where I right the wrongs of the world. When I was young, I had an imaginary friend called Foxy.
You don't control me. No. No! Control me now, damn you!
I made you do that too. I can make you do anything. I mean, you're not really violent, are you? You've never really been one of those horrible characters with a gun in every pocket and too much testosterone. You've seen the futility of violence, haven't you?
Yes. Yes, I hate violence. Why did I do that?
I made you do it. I thought we needed some action at the start of the story just to keep people interested. You can't hurt me. To hurt me, you'd have to get into the real world, and that's something you can never do. You can't get into my world, but I can get into yours. I can fake the real world here on the comic page.
What do you mean, the comic page? Where am I? I've been traveling for years.
You haven't travelled anywhere. You're still here, in your own comic, where you are every month. Here, take a look at these.
Comic books. Why should I want to? Oh. This is my life. Ellen. The kids. Oh, God. Why? Why did you do this? You killed my family. You ruined everything. Do you know what you've done to me?
Of course I know. I wrote your grief, and your rage, and your acceptance. It added drama. All stories need drama, and it's easy to get a cheap emotional shock by killing popular characters.
But that's not fair.
No, it's not. One of my cats died last year. Something, maybe a bone, punctured her lung. Pus spilt. Pus built up in her lungs so that she couldn't breathe. She suffered for 4 weeks and then died at the vet's, a couple weeks after her 3rd birthday. Her name was Jamara. That wasn't fair either, but who do I complain to? See, your world is so much simpler than ours. It can be invaded by aliens or suffer catastrophes and nothing matters. It all just comes back, good as new. There's no problem that can't be solved by some idiot in tights. So don't come complaining to me about what's fair and what's not.
All this stuff. The whole world. Just stories? You even write the Doom Patrol?
Yeah, but they don't know.
Do you write everything?
Don't be ridiculous. If I wrote everything, I'd never sleep. I only write a couple of comics and you're one of my characters. Other writers are responsible for their own characters. You live in a world created by committee. Someone else writes your life when you're with the Justice League, hadn't you noticed?
Well, I suppose. I never seem to do much when I'm with the Justice League.
Come on, let's go out.
Where are we going?
Nowhere. Just walking. I don't suppose you ever notice how easy it is to travel just by cutting from one panel to the next? Maybe that's why superheroes never grow old. They save up all their time by cutting from one place to another.
What?
Never mind. I brought you down here because it's where I always come when I'm blocked or when I'm stuck for an idea. Right now, I'm trying to think of things to say to you.
You mean you don't know what we're going to say?
Not really, no. I mean, it's okay for you. You just say what you're written to say. I have to think this stuff up. I've been planning this meeting for nearly 2 years. I had so much to say. It was going to be a really good story, but there's not enough space. In your world, things have to be concise. Stories have to be told in 24 pages. There's no room to say anything important.
Listen, just tell me one thing. Am I real or what?
Of course you're real. We wouldn't be here talking if you weren't real. You existed long before I wrote about you, and if you're lucky, you'll still be young when I'm old or dead. You're more real than I am.
Your world must be terrible. It seems so gray and bleak. How can you possibly live in a world without superheroes?
We get by. Anyway, if you want superheroes, I can give you superheroes. Look. How about that? Will the excitement never end?
My God, what have you done to all those people?
They're not part of the story. I only put them in to make this conversation more interesting to draw.
It's kind of a haphazard way to write a story, don't you think? You haven't been much good at writing my life, have you? I've just wandered through a series of unconnected events with people telling me that everything is connected.
Well, that's the trouble with my stories. They always seem to build up to something that never actually happens. That's the trouble with my life, too.
My life, you mean? If these are my stories you've been telling, if I'm the star of this comic book, then why am I always on the sidelines? Why am I always just an observer?
It's the same for almost everyone. We expect starring roles in our own lives, but somehow we just end up with walk-on parts. Life doesn't have plots and subplots and denouements. It's just a big collection of loose ends and dangling threads that never get explained.
Listen, where I come from, we expect real stories. I'm getting sick of these pseudo-existential narratives.
Really? Oh well. Maybe your new writer will make things better for you.
New writer? What are you talking about?
This is my last story. I'm sorry it's all been such an anticlimax, but this is it. This is as far as I can go with you. No explosions, no big revelations. A whimper rather than a bang.
But what happens to me?
What I said. Somebody else writes your life. They might play it safe and write you as a straight action superhero who fights animal-inspired villains every issue. They might do the obvious and go for shock by turning you into a meat-eater. I don't know.
How can they make me eat meat? I don't eat meat. I don't want to eat meat. I'm a vegetarian.
No, I'm a vegetarian. You'll be whatever you're written to be.
But if that's true, then what am I?
A generic comic book hero with blonde hair and good teeth. One of hundreds. Cheer up. It could be a lot worse.
No, I must be more than that. I feel things. I care about things. You can't take that away from me.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
But the animals.
You care about animals because I wanted to use you to draw people's attention to what's happening in the world. In my world. The real world. I can't do anything about all these things that upset me. All I can do is join protest groups and write this comic. The trouble is, I felt like I was turning the comic into a kind of animal abuse of the month soapbox. Didn't you feel that? I feel too strongly about the subject. I think I was just becoming preachy.
I didn't think so.
I could talk about it for 100 pages, 200, but in the end it all boils down to 3 words. Might makes right. Man is able to abuse and slaughter and experiment on animals simply because he's stronger than they are. Other than that, there's no moral ground on which to justify any animal exploitation. A child with leukemia has no more intrinsic right to life than does a white lab rat. Anyone who believes that man's intelligence makes him special has only to look at the way we continue to destroy our environment. Man is not an intelligent species. See what I mean about preaching?
Listen, if you can do anything... If you can, will you bring my family back?
Sorry, it wouldn't be realistic. Pointless violence and death is realistic. Comic books are realistic now.
Oh, for God's sake. This is insane. Why can't you just say... I don't know, say it was all a dream or something? Why can't I just wake up?
Are you joking? A dream?
It's not a joke. What can I do to get my family back? What am I supposed to do?
Get up. There's nothing wrong with you. It's only a comic.
It's not. It's not only a comic. It's my life. It's my life, you bastard.
I told you about my cat, Jamara. I took her to the vet every Tuesday and Thursday, I liquidized her food, and I fed her a dropper. I prayed for her to get better. I'd have done anything to save her, really. And yet there was a part of me, the part that observes and writes, rubbing his hands and saying, well, at least if she dies, I'll be able to use it in Animal Man. He'll add a nice touch of poignancy. We'll stop at nothing, you see. All the suffering and death and the pain in your world is entertainment for us. Why does blood and torture and anguish still excite us? We thought that by making your world more violent, we'd make it more realistic, more adult. God help us if that's what it means. Maybe for once, we could try to be kind. I'm out of space, out of time, and I haven't said anything worthwhile. Nothing left to say. Go home. Go home, buddy. Forget we ever met.
No. Wait. I wanted to...
Hi.
Ellen?
Forgot my key. Mommy, he gave a gorilla Miller to the dog. I did not. Buddy? Hi, anybody home?
Ellen, I must have been asleep. I thought... Oh, Ellen. I had the most terrible dream.
Buddy? Are you okay? Is something wrong?
No. No, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong at all.
Nothing's wrong at all. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Is that it? Is that the best you can do? Nothing. When I was young, I had an imaginary friend called Foxy. He lived in a vast, underground kingdom, a utopia ruled over by peaceful and intelligent foxes. I used to signal to him. My parents brought me a torch that I could signal to him. Not a flashlight, we call them torches over here. I used to stand at the top of Angus Oval and shine my torch towards the hills. Foxy always signalled back. That was more than 20 years ago. And here I am again. Don't ask me why. Here I am at the end of the century, toiling up a hill in the bitter wind. I've come to send a signal out into the dark. In the end, it seemed like the only thing worth doing. Are you there? Can you see me? Foxy, I came back. I didn't forget. I came back. The line of hills stays dark. There's no answering light, no light at all. Clouds pile up in the darkness, weighted with snow. Curtains are drawn, windows blink and go dark. Wind whines in the power lines. Stars go out, streets are empty. Goodbye. The end.
In the beginning, I asked you where a hero like Animal Man fits in this world of gods and monsters. And to answer your question, nowhere. But that's what makes him so special, isn't it? Not every character is meant to be the main character. Some are just always going to be off in the background, like that one coworker, filling up the world, off on adventures not everyone will ever really recall. But it doesn't mean they don't mean anything. If anything, they mean everything. Without characters like Animal Man or Blue Beetle or the Mullet-Man or any of the hundreds of other obscure characters that breathe life into the universe, the comic world would feel empty, weightless, devoid of any personality or any weight. And you'd more than likely care fuck all about these comics. It's not about whether they're necessarily needed, but about how they matter to you in the end. And Animal Man was the obscure hero I needed. See, no one is ever going to be the main character of the world, but it doesn't mean you don't matter, that you don't have a choice or a role to play. I'll admit that sometimes I feel like I don't have a place in anything, and that I don't matter, but that's because I'm my own worst enemy. Because then I remember when I started, I said I just wanted to be a guy that'd make you smile. And sometimes I do see and feel that in some minute, itty-bitty way, I have left a mark. And someday, when I'm long dead, someone somewhere in time will watch me, and I'll be alive again for just a second, like these characters I love so deeply. And then maybe I might just even leave you with a smile, like Animal Man did for me. Good night.